Hey everybody, Mr. The Fanboy here, and this is my year-end review of Impact Wrestling, TNA of Impact Wrestling, and man, what an awesome year it was for TNA. There was some bad, but man, it was an awesome year. It's so awesome that this video took forever for me to make because so much awesome stuff this year, man. So many awesome shows, so much awesome wrestling, lots of cool wrestlers, storylines, everything, man. TNA Wrestling, Impact Wrestling is the best professional wrestling program on television, even better than Lucha Underground. It is the best wrestling television, best wrestling promotion on television, and one of the best wrestling promotions right now, man. TNA, so much awesome stuff this year, man. We started off with the year with Matt Hardy, of course, with the finals of the TNA Championship series they had in late 2015 when EC3 used his lawyers on Matt after Matt beat him at Bound for Glory in a three-way for the TNA Heavyweight Championship, and Matt Hardy chose to relinquish the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Then come 2000 then they had this huge tournament, and finally in the finals it ended up being Matt Hardy and EC3. Ended up being Matt Hardy and EC3, where EC3 beat Matt Hardy for the World Heavyweight Championship. Then next week, Mr. Anderson had his little talk show, and Matt Hardy right here teased the heel turn by making excuses for losing. Then in their last man standing match, he had Tyrus interfere on his behalf against EC3, where a double turn took place, where Matt Hardy turned heel and EC3 um turned face. And I love the new Matt Hardy, the iconic Matt Hardy, where Matt Hardy throughout his whole career he was a selfless guy doing things for other people. Now he finally says screw the fans. He does what he wants and looks out for numeral Uno. Love what TNA did in 2015 and 16 with the Matt Hardy character. Back in 2015, I had just wanted Matt Hardy to wrestle a couple of matches with his brother, wrestle EC3, give EC3 a big win and some credibility. Then maybe go back to WWE and maybe try to make that place good. I don't think anything will ever make that place good. But no, they made Matt Hardy relevant, having him repeatedly challenge EC3 and making the whole Matt Hardy EC3 a storyline, a story arc, a storyline. So yeah, love what they were doing with the Matt Hardy character. Matt Hardy, he's another underutilized wrestler from WWE, and of all the wrestlers they've buried and misutilized, Matt Hardy is on that list. So like I said, a double turn took place. And now, while I prefer Matt Hardy as the babyface and EC3 as the heel, I actually liked it this way because Matt Hardy was like 40 something years old. It's like 41 years old, 41 years old, and it's the face of TNA Impact Wrestling. That's not good. So that's one of the reasons why I'm finally happy that EC3, who is the actual face of TNA Wrestling, the current face of TNA Wrestling, that's why I'm happy he turned face. Now you have a young guy as the face of your company, as the face of your company, as the face of your company. So yeah, EC3 so yeah, this is what I'm about EC3. And then of course then later Matt Hardy and EC3 had a cage match. Matt Hardy and EC3 had a cage match, and here is where Rockstar split. Where a week ago he returned on EC3's behalf He returned on EC3's behalf, but the next week, but the next week, now the next week, Rockstar Spud turned heel on EC3. Now, like I said, I was mixed about this because I wanted EC3, and now after being opponents and rivals for 2 years, I want them to be a tag team. I want them to be a tag team and capture the tag team championships. But no, they had Rockstar Spud in retribution for his harsh treatment from EC3. They had Spud on EC3. Now, while I prefer Rockstar Spud as a babyface, I know I love this new pissed off. I love this new angry, pissed off Rockstar Spud. Some of the best promos have been by him this year. This year and this year. So yeah, you had the Matt Hardy and EC3 feud continues. Then you had Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. They had a phenomenal feud, culminating in a match at Slammiversary 2000. Culminating in a match at Slammiversary 2016, where after this match, Matt Hardy declared himself broken and created the broken Matt Hardy, Matt Hardy character, which I initially hated. This kind of turned me off the TNA a little bit because you had Matt Hardy. I love the appearance, but you had him coming out cutting these lame Bray Wyatt style cryptic promos, and I do not like Bray Wyatt style cryptic promos, but I admired TNA. The character really grew on me, and I admired TNA doing something. The final deletion storyline, doing something to get the internet, not necessarily the world, which is what I want, but the internet talking. You got people, when I classify myself as obsolete, delete. That's a meme now. That's a meme now. Everyone is walking around saying that. Everyone was walking around saying that. I admire TNA for doing something like that. Come to think of it, prior to the final deletion storyline, I was gonna come on the internet and straight up, and I'm still gonna do that video and straight up blast the TNA haters, the biased WWE fans, then the annoying biased TNA haters. I didn't have to. TNA turned itself around. Everyone knows TNA is better than WWE. The only people I see saying WWE is better are the sheep. WWE has no fans now. I refuse to believe that unless they're a person who's a casual goer of wrestling and only watch WWE, or a person who's watched WWE all his life. I refuse to believe that there's anyone who watched WWE and think that is better than TNA wrestling, man. That is TNA right now. Than TNA right now. I refuse to believe that, man. I refuse to believe that. Yeah, but I didn't have to because TNA turned itself round, and so yeah, you had the final deletion. So you had the Hardy. Then of course after Hardy would later be rechristened as Brother Nero. Then they were later, when they entered their feud with Decay, they would Matt Hardy he would later rescue young Maxwell and he would turn face once more. And they had a phenomenal feud with Decay, which culminated in a phenomenal match, a phenomenal bizarre street fight at Bound for Glory 2016. Bound for Glory 2016 with Jeff Hardy coming out of nowhere as Itchweed. Jeff Hardy coming out of nowhere as the Itchweed character. Yeah, you had this bizarre character during the street fight coming out of nowhere, talking all fast and stuff, man. It was phenomenal. It was awesome, man. Then of course, EC3 and Rockstar Spud. They had an awesome street fight. I love it when these two wrestle because they always give you a good fight and they always give you an awesome match no matter what it is. And they give you a different match each time too. In 2015 and 2014, they had several tag team matches. In 2015, They finally had they found they met their feud culminated in the hair versus hair match in 2015. In the hair versus hair match, then their paths came together in late 2015. In late 2015, when EC3 wrestled Rockstar Spud wrestled EC3 for the World Heavyweight championship. Then in 2016 they had a street fight to settle an unsanctioned street fight to settle their differences. Then during EC3's and Mike Bennett's feuds, where Mike Bennett had EC3 fight some demons from the past. One of them was a cage match with Rockstar Spud and EC3 and EC3. Then of course you got Rockstar Spud, his feud with the debuting Braxton Stutter. Love this storyline. You have Rockstar Spud interjecting himself into a match between Braxton Stutter and an indie wrestler, and Rockstar Spud beating him. Rockstar Spud first teasing a face turn, then turning on Braxton Stutter after the match. You can understand. I love Rockstar Spud's. Well, like I said, I prefer him as a badass underdog face. I love his pissed off underdog heel type character. Here, Rockstar Spud done everything in his power to work to get into TNA, and here Rockstar Spud, Johnny Come Lately, Sutter comes and gets the debut on Impact, and love Braxton Sutter. Love saw this guy in Crossfire Wrestling, and he debuted as a heel on one of the tapings on one of the one night only pay-per-views. But I love his badass face character. He's old school, man. He's an old school young tough guy, man. And loved his feud with Spud. Some intense matches, which their feud culminated in an awesome arena match where Braxton Sutter broke Rockstar Spud's teeth in an empty arena match. Love the empty arena matches, man. Kurt Angle and Sting had an awesome one in 2009. Yeah, love the empty arena matches, man. Then of course, what else? What else? So yeah, they had an awesome feud. Then oh yes, the reformation of the bromance. The reformation of the bromance. Loved in 2015 when they split up the bromance, where Jesse Goddard, who in my opinion could have been a main event heel. Then you got Robbie E, who was now a badass face. Happy to see the bromance taken seriously. I hate how in the old TNA they were jobber bitches for the rest of the guys on the roster. Now they're the top star. They're the top stars, and I like how during their feud with Decay, they made them a threat to Decay. They nearly won the TNA tag team titles at Slammiversary 2016. Decay really put them over as a credible threat to their titles, and I like both of them. Both of them are awesome wrestlers. With Jesse being the better of the two, he's the more athletic. He's the more athletic of the two, and I think he's the better wrestler of the two. Whereas I think Robbie E was probably be the best talker. But these guys, not only are they awesome wrestlers with their double team maneuvers, but awesome. Some of the most hilarious skits were with them. And speaking of hilarious skits, then you got Grotto. First of all, his awesome feud with Eli Drake. I love the feud with Eli Drake because it had realism. Loved Grotto's feuds because both of his feuds with Eli Drake and the one with Snow I'm about to talk about had realism. To him. You have Eli Drake, old school, what a pro wrestler should look like. Then you have Grotto, new school. He looks just like one of us. Grotto looks like one of us, which is why he connects well with the Impact. Which is why he connects well with the Impact audiences. You had him, Eli Drake switching the briefcase, and Grotto coming back under various other characters such as Ordained, the Great, and then when that's over, when that feud is over, Al Snow comes out and attacks Grotto. Grotto and Al Snow talks about how Grotto puts over how Al Snow puts over how back in the old days they only allowed certain people in their business. They didn't allow Grotto into the business. It led to an awesome, realistic feud with Grotto, and later Mahabali Shira joined the feud, and of course, Al Snow debuted at Baron Dax and Basil Baraka, the Tribunal. The Tribunal. Love both of those guys, but I think Baron Dax is the talent in that team, and would love to see him turn face when they decide to ever break up that team. But yeah, this led to an awesome match at Slammiversary 2016. That was one of the reasons. That was one of my main reasons for tuning into the Slammiversary 2016 pay-per-view. Which Slammiversary 2016, phenomenal pay-per-view, man. Phenomenal pay-per-view. Awesome matches from top to bottom. Which brings me to my next feud. Then of course you had EC3. I was still trying to get used to EC3 as a face, but man, his year-long feud with Mike Bennett. His year-long feud with Mike Bennett was awesome. And EC3's match with Mike Bennett and his later match with Bobby Lashley at Bound for Glory had to be some of EC3's best performances as a wrestler. We've seen him on the mic. How does he perform as a wrestler? Those were his best in-ring performances, man. Those were his best in-ring performances. And then you had Bobby Lashley and Drew Galloway, the physical, intense MMA like feud between two of the toughest guys on the roster. Two of the toughest guys on the roster. I remember them brawling in an MMA cage, brawling in an MMA gym all over the place. And this culminated at Slammiversary, where Bobby Lashley defeated Drew Galloway by knockout to win the TNA Heavyweight Championship. And like I said, I love Bobby Lashley as champion. Well, I prefer Bobby Lashley as a face. Love his heel character too, and I love how realistic he is as a heel character. He can be a monster heel, he can be a cowardly heel, and he can be a badass tough heel, and a legit, because he's a legit fighter. Bobby Lashley. Love it when Bobby Lashley's champion, because you're guaranteed awesome matches, man. You are guaranteed awesome matches when Lashley is champion, man. You are guaranteed awesome matches, and then this led to a phenomenal feud with Eddie Edwards, who beat Lashley for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Eddie Edwards won the X Division title at Slammiversary 2016 for Austin Aries, Option C to defeat Bobby Lashley, and this led to Destination X, where the debuting Moose. And like I said, Moose, I stayed off the spoiler website, so I could have sworn Moose was going to WWE. He shows up on Impact. He shows up on Destination X during the Moose ton and immediately sides with Mike Bennett. I love how they played off their history from Ring of Honor. And speaking of Mike Bennett, one of the best characters, Mike Bennett, he's shown me, he's gotten over with me with not only his character but with his in-ring performances too. But you have Mike Bennett and Maria, two of the best characters ever. Maria and Tyra, so two of the only characters who got over me with their characters alone. They didn't have to do anything in the ring. They got over me with their characters, man. Maria, best heel of the Knockout division. Loved her feuds with Gail Kim, and her current one with Ali. So love Zema Ions. He went from the cheesy hairspray guy to a badass, as Pope says, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, AJ Styles, Sanjay Dutt, Chris Sabin of TNA. These were the original faces of the X Division. In my opinion, he's went to a character Light Years went to a more serious and intense, cool character. Love this happened at the end of the year. Love the heel turn of Mandrews, who he hadn't been on a lot. He had, like I said, he had finally. Hopefully he'll now get some more screen time. I prefer Mandrews as a face. He's really likable as a face, but hopefully his heel turn will get him more what's his name. The Team X Gold stuff I really didn't care much for, but it led to a lot of awesome matches, and as long as the wrestlers I wanted to see were on TV, I really didn't care. But yeah. Yeah. Then of course later that year you had Bound for Glory. Well, before I get to all that, now for some of the bad stuff. 2016, I actually thought was going to be TNA's year, where they would um get monster ratings and finally become. They started the year off going live, going to all these big arenas, Then they went back. Then they were forced to go back to the Impact Zone. Then their ratings stayed the same, or went lower. I don't remember what their ratings were. I didn't check, but I know they weren't good. And this is when I sort of gave up on TNA because it was make or break for me, and I wanted TNA to be the best, man. Take their spot as the best wrestling product on television. Take their spot, the best product on television. So that was some of the bad. To this, while being an awesome year, still wasn't the year I was hoping for TNA. Then you had the Billy Corgan controversy. To tell you the truth, I was actually on board with Billy Corgan. Corgan. That's until I saw some of the stuff. He was actually I was on board with Billy Corgan owning TNA. I was on board with his ideas. That was until, like I said, that it was turned out to be a rumor. But that rumor actually almost made me give up on wrestling. Made me give up on wrestling when I heard that Vince had acquired the rights to use TNA footage. That right there made me hate. Wrestling, and I'm so happy. And right there, I'm so happy. And right there, I'm so happy that Billy Corgan didn't get ownership of TNA, because, like I said, in my opinion, he can't be trusted. This guy left. He was a promoter at Revolution Pro Wrestling, which he left this promotion. So he's when the going gets tough, he bails. That's not a guy I want running TNA. And to tell you the truth, I actually never really wanted him running TNA. I would have accepted him as owner of TNA, but I never wanted him running TNA. Like I said, I wanted Dixie running TNA. What you call it? Put someone in the money. Put someone in the put someone on the creative team. Because Dixie's not a wrestling person, so put someone on the creative team. But do not. I repeat, I do not want anyone else running TNA. Paul Heyman, I would have loved for Paul Heyman, but but Paul Heyman, like I said, Paul Heyman wanted to answer to no one, and I didn't want that. We see what happened with ECW. TNA has accomplished much more than ECW. This was another thing I was gonna blast the TNA haters when they talk about Dixie. TNA wouldn't even be here today if it wasn't for Dixie and Panda Energy. They would have suffered the same fate as Global Wrestling Federation from the 90s, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, ECW, and finally World Wrestling All-Stars. All these promotions were great promotions, but they didn't have the funds, and when they tried to go national, they failed. So that's why I'm so happy that Billy Corgan, then I saw him, according to friends of mine, he follows Vince McMahon on Twitter, but has not followed the company he supports for. He's supposed to be with. He does not follow the TNA guys on Twitter. So I do not want a guy like that. I didn't trust that guy. I'm so happy what's his name. And I'm still a little worried about the new company, the Fight Entertainment. I think that's what they're called, who owns TNA. But I'm impressed with several things. There, such as my first thing that I'm impressed with is Al Snow's talking. I really hope they get this off the ground. Al Snow talks of TNA's own developmental. Instead of using an independent promotion as a developmental, TNA, I want them to create their own play similar to WCW's power plan of the '90s, of the 90s and early 2000s, and start training, producing and training their own talent instead of debuting instead of trying to sign lure guys away from WWE, luring the guys away from the indies and WWE. That's kind of going to be hard because you can't offer what WWE has. So yes, build your own talent since you can't sign all these guys, lure all these guys away from WWE and all the other promotions. So yes, them talking about a developmental territory with Al Snow as the head trainer. Yeah, I want something like that for TNA. Then of course TNA plans to go live. TNA plans to go live next year. So these are some of their good stuff, good things about TNA. Then of course what else? What else about TNA? What else? What else? Oh yes. Yeah, these were the good things. Then, like I said, when I left wrestling, I said I may come back because TNA was up until I heard that rumor. TNA was freaking awesome, man. They were tearing it up. They were tearing it up, man. So I may come back. I may come back, and I did. I finished Bound for Glory. My late review of that pay per view was on there, and Bound for Glory 2016. Awesome show. You started off with DJZ and Trevor Lee in the opening bout. Then of course, oh yes, probably my favorite match of that pay per view. One of my favorite matches of that pay per view. You had the 10-man BFG, the 10-man BFG Gauntlet match. I love this battle royal. It gives people who are not involved in major storylines or do not have a match at Bound for Glory something to do. And with the winner getting a shot at the TNA Heavyweight Championship. Disappointed that Eli Drake won though. I wanted Sutter or someone else to win. But yeah. Oh yes, the debut of Aaron Drax. Drax, Damian Sandow. Disappointed they turned him heel so fast. This fast, but I love Damian Sandow. Had a phenomenal feud with Jesse Goddard over the TNA the TNA Impact Championship. I think that's what it's called. The TNA Impact Championship. The new global. I keep forgetting what it's called, but the new championship. Billy Corgan introduced with the rounds. Love an awesome feud with what's his name. Then an awesome match with with Eddie Edwards, man. With Eddie Edwards. And finally, he recently put Moose over for the title, which I am mixed about. I didn't like how quickly Moose beat him. Moose beat him because Aaron Drax is much better than Moose wrestling wise. Is much better, but yeah. But Moose has his first championship. That's the thing I like the most, man. Next is um who else on the roster? Who else is on? What else? Yeah, Gail Kim finally winning, finally getting her hands on Maria and winning the Knockouts Championship. Then you had oh yes, the badass debut of Cody Rhodes um where Mike Bennett hijacked the pay per view and he hijacked the pay per view and the lights went out and Cody Rhodes coming out to the awesome Downstate Kingdom song, the same band that performed Ziggler's, Miz, and Alex Riley's themes, performs Cody's Kingdom theme song. I haven't used it in several of my videos here on YouTube. Cody Rhodes came out. And Cody Rhodes and Brandy started loading on Mike Bennett and Maria. Maria and Cody Rhodes had a phenomenal match with Eddie, and then he got attacked by Bobby Lashley. I can't wait till Cody returns to TNA. I don't like the way he's being utilized on the Independents, which is one reason I haven't really been watching the Independents. I don't like them turning him heel so fast, but yeah, can't wait till he returns to TNA. I want to see him feud with Lashley, man. And speaking of Lashley, oh yes, EC3 and Lashley, the physicality, man. The physicality, man. Lashley put EC3 over strong. This was a phenomenal match, man. Phenomenal match, man. A phenomenal match with Bobby Lashley winning with the spear. And EC3 even hitting a super 3%er on Lashley, man. Trying a super 3%er on Lashley, and Lashley finally hitting him, winning with a desperation spear, man. Like I said, TNA has been so freaking awesome this year, man. But yeah, we're not done. Then of course you had oh yes, you had Grotto. All the funny moments. Grotto wanting to be a bromance. Wanting to be a bromance. They also had an awesome handicap match with Lashley. Lashley with wanted to be a bromance, and he came, and Grotto came out dancing with the spray tan, on him, with the spray gel on him, came out dancing. That was the most hilarious thing I've seen. Then of course, oh yeah, Hayden O'Shea, he made his return to TNA for the Turkey Challenge, and him and Robbie E and Grotto wrestled in the Turkey Challenge with Robbie E winning, and Grotto put on the turkey suit and started dancing. It was just hilarious. It was just hilarious, man. And Grotto, and then next is oh yes, you had the face turn of Tyrus, and then of course you had, oh yes, the greatest show, which is still receiving rave reviews. I didn't feel like reviewing it, but the Final Deletion show, man, the most bizarre and coolest wrestling show I've seen, man. Way to go, TNA. Way to go. The Final Deletion show. Like I said, man. Like I said, man. Yeah, and I heard also another good thing. Hardys will have more booking power in 2017, and then you had WWE ripping off Final Deletion with the New Day fighting the Wyatts. So yeah, man. TNA is so freaking awesome, man. So much awesome stuff. It's hard to remember it all, man. Well, that was my year review of Impact Wrestling. All right, I'm done.